The New York Times this week on the resurgence of anti-Semitism in Europe. Oh, yes. Why does this issue keep coming up? Yeah, it was very disturbing to read that in so many capitals in Europe, I read that, people are standing in front of synagogues and saying death to the Jews. I mean, this is the continent that fought a war to stop Hitler 70 years ago.
Well, two reasons. One, there are a lot of Muslims there, especially in France and in Germany, so that's one problem. And then you also have that small minority of Europeans in France and Germany who have never gone away, who are still very racist and anti-Semitic, and that's a problem.
There's still a problem with the neo-Nazis, too. I mean,
right.
I was just in Berlin, and some of the things that Hitler had built that they're trying to either tear down or disguise with gardens because the neo-Nazis now are holding them up as shrines. So I don't think that ever totally left. It certainly isn't the majority, but there's a rise in that now. It's troublesome.
It is troublesome. Okay. Rabbi Cash Money asked the panel, I think this is from Australia. I often hear that the USA is great because of, quote, our freedom. What freedoms do you have that other countries, for example, Australia, doesn't? That's a good question. Yeah, no, I hear that often.
And why don't they get bombed as much for them?
Yeah. Marco Rubio used to say in his stump speech, he used to have this line about how this is the only country in the world, America, where an idea that started out on a cocktail napkin could wind up being traded on the stock exchange. And I was like, no. Other countries have napkins and stock exchanges. What world are they living in? But it is a good question. I mean, we do that often in this country, especially on the right. Talk only in America, and it's really not only in America. I mean, we do have maybe more freedom on some issues. I do know Europeans who have come to this country because they find the economics over there too stifling. That is true.
Right. And Australia is much freer than the United States in many ways, but we are the one country, the one indispensable country right now that protects freedom around the globe. And I think that's, yeah, you can make the case that Australia, they're probably freer, but we're the ones that defend their freedom.
So we're the cops.
We're the cops.
You're saying, if not the cops, the bouncers. So you're saying Australia is freer than us?
Australia's a great country. I love it.
Oh,
yes. You should go tour there.
You are going to get into so much trouble when you get back to Washington.
No, it's a great country. It's a great country.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
There's a country freer than us, and you love it?
I think...
Ooh, I wouldn't want to be at your Bible meeting on Monday. This is from Frankfurt, Germany. What habit or way of life from any foreign country do you believe your fellow citizens should adopt and could benefit from? Well, I'll answer that first, because when we left for vacation on August 1st, I said I was applauding the fact that Europeans take all of August off. I think Americans have too little vacation time. They're too stressed out. And they put way too much emphasis on material goods as opposed to enjoying life.
In addition, I think we could have smarter gun policies. I think that it's just ridiculous what we're doing, and it's not even the fact that I don't think that people should have guns. I grew up in Louisiana. It's a gun culture. We hunted all the time. People had guns around. I don't see there's anything wrong with that. But the actual proliferation of so many guns to the point where you now have almost a gun per person in this country. Well, and guns outlive their owners if you take care of them. So it's not like they're going to evaporate or go away or stop being functional, and they're just going to keep being more and more guns. And at a certain point, that's the problem.
Let me take issue with what you said. Yeah. Because you said, we have to hunt. This is the problem. Right. The Democrats basically love guns, not quite as much as Republicans, but they basically say, well, we can all agree that murdering animals is something we absolutely have to do. And when you're into shooting living things,
well, I mean,
it's a slippery slope.
I think you can take that position. I think that, but
And you get joy out of doing that.
No, that's no
There
joy.
is something
It's not about
wrong
joy.
with-
But it is.
It's not. It's a sport. That's what they always say.
Well,
it's sport.
I'm not talking about.
We
Sports
need guns
shooting.
for sport.
I'm not talking about sports
Is
shooting.
it really a sport for the animal?
I'm literally talking about. I think that
Is it a sport if you don't know a game is on? And you don't have the same equipment? I don't think it's really a
I
sport.
thought he was the liberal on the panel. What's happening?
I think
That's the problem.
urban liberals and rural liberals, and particularly the ones who live in the South, we have different kind of concepts on this subject. And I think that
Right.
I live in New York City. I don't see why anybody should have a gun in New York City. Personally, there are cops everywhere, and I can pick up 911 and somebody be at my door in 5 seconds. When you live out in the middle, yes. I live in one of those neighborhoods.
Wow. Good for you.
But if you live where I grew up, there are no cops. There's literally no cops. And if you call the cop, they would be there 30 seconds from now. And what do you do in that intervening time?
Wow.
So I think that there is a difference
Okay.
that is regional.
This is from Slovenia. How much danger or how many deaths should free nations absorb to protect civil liberties? I love this. First of all, this is a very good question, but it's phrased in a way we would never say it in America. And it's true. There is a certain amount of deaths that we would have to absorb to protect it. How many deaths should free nations absorb to protect civil liberties? It's real. You can't have absolute on both. Wow.
Do you want us
Slovenia, you have stumped the panel. You win a dinner at Chili's.
I mean, Bill, I think it's a great question, and I think it's a question that goes to balance, and how do we balance our liberties with our freedoms against threats of terror? And sometimes we go way too overboard, which we've done in our history periodically, and then we go the other way, and it's a balance. We've got to find that balance.
We've just seen the deaths of 2 journalists from the United States. I mean, that represents freedom of speech, freedom of the press. They were out there doing their jobs. And I think as you saw each beheading, you saw the American support for taking action grow. Even though they were in numbers, it was obviously
But
small.
that's exactly right. 2 people who purposely went there. They purposely swam in the crocodile pool and got eaten by crocodiles. Should we then spend, I don't know how much money, 10 million, 10 billion, $10 trillion to revenge that? It just seems like perhaps it's not a good balance.
But these were journalists. I don't think they were out there to find a way to make money. I mean, they were seeking
weren't.
truth. I mean, they
I agree,
Yeah.
but they were seeking the truth in a place that they knew was the most dangerous place in the world. Does that mean we have an obligation then to spend unlimited amounts of blood
what's the life of an American worth?
Well, I mean, that's almost
something, but not everything.
I don't know.
It's worth everything?
Well,
We have to just go to DEFCON 5 anytime an American gets killed under any circumstances, anywhere?
No, but I think we protect, I think it's part of our obligation to protect American lives wherever they may be, our own well-being, the existential threats it may be to our nation. But an American life ought to be precious to us.
But we operate on different horizons.
People die every single day in Harlem.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know why we care so. I mean,
I agree.
You have to. It doesn't always have to be life. I mean, let's face it. The shoe bomber won because every time we go to the airport, maybe not you get to fly private, but the rest of us have to take our shoes off every single time we go through the airport. So every time I go through the airport, I think he won.
Right, and our horizons are different, right? Which is, we want vengeance now, we want it to be over quick. But their horizon is a decade, a century. And like, they're not playing on our quick, you bomb me now and you win tomorrow and it's going to be over and I'm going to let it go and it's going to be done. That's not how they're playing this game.
And I have flown private. I don't get to fly private.
But Bill, let me say something real quick. You had a wonderful soliloquy about the evils of Islam, about the worst parts of it. If you're going to stop some of the worst elements of that, you can't just play by the Marquess of Queensberry rules. You have to fight them and fight them hard. And I think that the idea that we can just lay down and not fight ISIS is very naive and exactly against what you were saying in your speech. We got to stop them.
What does fight them hard mean to you?
No.
It means bomb them when they are making these advancements and creating safe havens.
So we can
terrorists.
win it from the air is what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't want boots on the ground. I think we can contain this threat.
But we have.
When has that ever
okay.
worked?
That-
Ever?
I mean, we may not have
thing.
boots, but we have like military intelligence on. We have. This is just a hoax when we say there's no boots on the ground. There are American military intelligence on the ground there.
Okay, I have
And
time
what
for one.
stops with this fake boots on the
One
ground?
more. Mark von Werkheim asked the panel, why has the NSA scandal not led to any change anywhere? Regards from Munich. What? That's funny it's from Munich, because, you know, I always think Americans know one lesson from history, Munich. Everybody we hate is Hitler, and any time we don't completely throw down at full force against everybody who looks at us the wrong way, we are appeasers who are replaying Munich with Hitler. But
I don't think we're listening in on Merkel's phone calls anymore, so that's probably one change.
maybe not. Why were we ever?
Lucky her.
Right, lucky her.
No, but I think he means here at home. You know, why hasn't the NSA scandal led to any change? But I don't know if that's true, because certainly the releases from Snowden prompted the Congress here in America to take up this